I don't think people understand just how deadly winter was during WWII. Winter has never been neutral. It has always chosen sides. And throughout history, it has almost always targeted the hands first. Long before modern insulation, before Gore-Tex and synthetic linings, soldiers, farmers, hunters and labourers learned the same unforgiving lesson. Once your fingers lose heat, everything else follows. Strength disappears, fine motor control collapses, decisions slow. In war, that meant death. In survival, it meant failure. During World War II, frostbite was not an inconvenience. It was a battlefield injury. This is where traditional thinking failed. Cold was blamed, but cold alone does not cause frostbite. Moisture does. Veteran soldiers, many of them former loggers, farmers and outdoorsmen from northern climates, already understood this principle instinctively. Keep insulation dry, and it works. Let moisture in, and it fails fast. The solution they adopted was not more insulation and not thicker gloves. It was separation. What emerged was one of the most overlooked survival systems of the war, the vapor barrier hand system. Soldiers began wearing a thin, waterproof layer directly over the skin. Rubberized gloves, chemical handling gloves, or improvised waterproof liners were used. Over that went the wool glove. The inner layer was not meant to provide warmth. Its sole purpose was to stop moisture movement. Sweat stayed trapped inside. Snow melt stayed out. The outer wool glove remained dry, retained loft, and continued insulating. This single change dramatically increased hand warmth in extreme cold. Without realizing it, soldiers had created the same layered system still used by polar explorers and mountaineers today. A moisture-managing inner layer, a vapor barrier, and a dry insulating shell. But this system required discipline. A vapor barrier traps sweat just as effectively as it blocks snow. The real survival skill was not wearing the glove. It was knowing when to change it. Experienced soldiers treated dry liners like ammunition. They carried multiple thin gloves and rotated them deliberately. One pair was sacrificed to sweat during hard labour. Another was kept dry at all costs, often stored inside clothing near the body to prevent freezing. When activity stopped, wet liners came off immediately and dry ones replaced them. This active moisture management reduced frostbite cases significantly in units that adopted it. What makes this lesson powerful is how directly it applies today. Anyone who works outdoors in winter experiences the same conditions soldiers did. Wet soil, snow-covered tools, freezing wind, and repeated cycles of effort followed by stillness. Thick modern gloves often fail for the same reason wool failed in 1944. Once moisture overwhelms them, warmth collapses. Modern glove design often tries to solve everything in one layer. Breathable membranes, insulation, waterproof coatings, all stitched together. They work until they don't. When moisture saturates the system, recovery is slow or impossible in the field. The World War II system worked because each layer had one job and moisture was controlled instead of ignored. After the war, this knowledge faded. Gear became standardized. Convenience replaced discipline. But the physics never changed. Cold injury still begins with moisture. That is why vapor barrier liners are still used in extreme environments today, from Arctic expeditions to high-altitude mountaineering. Cold hands do more than hurt. They reduce efficiency, increase mistakes, and cause permanent damage. The soldiers who survived winter campaigns did not do so by luck. They survived by understanding moisture and managing it deliberately. That lesson belongs to anyone who works in winter today. If this deep dive into a forgotten World War II survival system gave you something practical you can use, subscribe to Warcraft Survival and share this video with someone who refuses to let winter stop them. History doesn't just tell us what happened. Sometimes it teaches us how to endure.